Right. Well, welcome everyone to another wonderful First Thursday. My name is McTate. I am ecstatic to be doing this in any form or fashion, be it live or via Zoom. Had me looking over some stuff. We've been doing this for over 12 years, so it's a blessing to keep sharing this and having this opportunity for our students. I'll be sharing some music as we go along as well. And I just want to thank you guys once again. We have Anouk who's going to be our featured artist today. I got a chance to check out some of her work, and a blessed young poet. You guys will be inspired. And I love the fact that she uses her voice to talk about current topics. I mean, that's always been the beauty of being a spoken word artist, is that whenever something happens, you don't have to wait for a pipeline of production to happen. You can just go ahead and speak on whatever the situation is at hand. And so that's a beautiful thing to see this young poet understand that. That's what I've always liked about the spoken word. And so we have some wonderful people who signed up. So we're going to be sharing tonight, and we're going to get started. And so what I want to do is I'm going to start with a poem that used to be my signature piece. Like I said, this young poet, she as I looked at this and got ready for tonight, I thought about the past years and what poetry meant to me and why I do what I do. And back in the day, we used to have what we call a signature piece. And it would be a piece that, we would do. And I definitely like to do every time I started into a new venue, just to get people an understanding of who I was as a poet. And so this one is entitled Born to Be Deep. You could also find it on my album, When I Say Hip Hop, just a shameless plug there, which I am proud of. So it's entitled Born to Be Deep. You see, I was born to be deep, but converse quite simple. You see, I stay alive and I strive as long as fluids in the temple. To create and meditate in the hills where the wind speaks, through the valleys and peaks. Oh Lord, thank you for allowing me to dig deep into the earth for the birth of new wisdom, to project intellect and manifest charisma, to flow and make sound pound like a new pair of bongos, to commit with the mind in due time, the rest should follow. Because you see, it's poetry I choose, once influenced by Langston Hughes, short stories by Leroy Jones, Amari Baraka. You see, it all depends on my mood. I said it all depends on my mood. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So what we have here is, like I said, we have this a list of poets who signed up ahead of time. And as we go, I also have a few other poets that are on the list. So if you guys feel inspired to share, I would like for you guys to share as well. And I'm gonna ask Flo Wong, how are you feeling right now? And would you mind sharing with us as one of the first poets for this evening?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. And I would be happy to start with my poem, which is titled The Elder Asian Woman et al. At the Millbrae Caltrain Station, the elder Asian woman and man, her husband, both in their 8th decade of life, settle on a vacant stone bench following a thriving day in the city. The husband feels his right hip padlocking from the day's adventuresome walking. He rises to climb the stairs to the second floor toilet. The elder Asian woman et al. Sitting on a cold stone bench, the elder Asian woman suddenly sees the back of a tall man. She sniffs fetid odors. He is wrapped in a food-smeared blanket, his hair resembling a bird's nest. He spins around swiftly, bending to the elder Asian woman's seated height, which allows his green eyes to dart over her body. She swings around, hastily disrupting his intense stare. The elder Asian woman et al. At that precise moment, she sees the tips of sneakers a younger friend wore. Who is walking towards her? Could she look up? The man and his wife had dropped the elders off. They had stayed behind in secrecy, diligently watching their departing friends from afar. The elder Asian woman et al. At the sight of the disheveled intruder, the younger man, a martial artist, bolts from his car. Standing by the elder Asian woman, he scowls. Husband returns. The intruder slinks away. The elder Asian woman et al.
Thank you, Flo Wong. Did you want to share another piece?
Well, could I talk a little bit about this piece?
Please do.
I was very afraid to take Caltrain and BART to San Francisco, but I needed to be present at Union Square, where I was presenting with other members of the Last Hoisan Poet and the Del Sol Spring Quartet in when a San Francisco Wednesday presentation. So I was so scared, I had to consult with the co-founder of the Kaiser pain program that I'm in, because I didn't know what to do with my fear. She talked with me and counseled me, and that allowed me the courage to get on Caltrain and on BART. So unbeknownst to me, a friend of mine had asked her husband, the man who eventually came to help me, meet us at the train station, or actually at the BART station. My husband didn't understand why we were having someone watch over us. We are in the demographic. If I were to take my hat off, my chapeau off, you would see my white hair. And so he walked with us to Union Square. We had a wonderful, wonderful presentation with Del Sol String Quartet. And so our friend said, I'm going to drive you to Millbrae. And my husband said, no, we can take, public transit. Well, it turned out to be a fortuitous offer that we accepted, because when he dropped us off, as you heard in the poem, my husband had to go to the restroom. Right at that moment, the man stepped in front of me. I was scared shitless. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I wanted to not keep eye contact with him. So I turned and I looked down on the ground. The moment I looked down on the ground, I saw the tips of the sneakers of the man and his wife. Well, after the man who had driven us there. And he's a martial artist. And so he came and he just got into his martial art position. He just scowled.
Oh, wow.
And the man who was ready to do something to me left. And my husband came back at the same time. And I was so grateful. I was actually sitting on the bench saying, gosh, I don't have to be as afraid as I've been scaring myself, because the consideration of anti-Asian violence is very strong. I grew up in Oakland, Chinatown. Some of the attacks that have happened to the people over 60 or 70 happened on the streets where I played. And so the trauma just really heightened. And I thought I was safe at Millbrae. And so it took me a while to process what I went through. I knew that I would write a poem, but I didn't dare face what I had faced for several days. And the trauma really just triggered and relived in my memory. So I knew that it was important for me to use my skills as a poet to speak up. I can no longer be silent.
Right.
The issue of anti-Asian violence is more important than COVID among the elder Asian American community. And it's not right. It's just not right. I'll be going again soon. And, I don't have the physical strength to deal with someone who will come into my space and do something harmful, whatever that harmfulness might be. Right. So I just really need to get the word out. And I want to thank Diana for inviting me to come on tonight so that I can speak up. I'm 83 years old. I'm still going into the community to contribute, to read my poetry and to be a part of the wider community. And I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to ask everybody to send thoughts of safety to me and my husband when he comes. And it's harder on my husband because he's severely hearing impaired. I am also hearing impaired. So I'm not hearing things from the back or anything else. And I never thought that I would have to say this in this country that I love so much. Thank you for letting me share.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you. It's very important that you share this message. We definitely need to take care of our elders. And
yes,
as I said, our elders.
Thank you.
As humanity. And I thank you for having the courage to share with us, using your cathartic energy to write it down, but mainly to share it to us in the public. Yes.
Yes. And I have chronic pain. And so what I've done with trauma before was to stuff it into my body and not share it. I wouldn't look for any kind of help. I didn't go to therapists. I didn't go to doctors or anything. I just stuffed it in there. I'm a 2-time survivor of sexual trauma. And I kept those stories within me for 50 years. No longer am I keeping the stories inside of me. Because the pain that I carry today from chronic pain, I know comes from not speaking out. So I'm speaking out.
There you go. Release that chi. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you once again, Flo Wong. Let's give her a round of applause. I want to ask you, Jawani Bachani, I hope I didn't butcher your name too much. She is the founder of Poetry of Diaspora for Silicon Valley. And want to know if you're ready to share with us. I would love to hear your voice.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
So I will read a poem in, that's a translation of an original poem in Hindi.
Okay.
It's by a poet who passed away a couple of years ago, Kumar Narayan. And it's, the title is I Arrived in This World a Bit Late. I arrived in this world a bit late. By then, the entire world had been civilized. All forests had been razed. All animals had been killed. Rain had stopped. and burning like a ball of fire was this earth. In all four directions, iron and concrete jungles of immense size had emerged, in which anyone could see several evolved ways by which humans were being hunted by humans. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate it. Wow. Melanie Joy, wow, are you here?
Yes.
Melanie Joy? Oh.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. It's my first time reading poetry aloud to people
Awesome.
in a community of writers, so I'm really honored to be here. Yeah.
We welcome you.
Thank you. The first piece I'd love to share. First, I just wanted to thank Flo for being so brave, and when she said she survived sexual abuse and that she's no longer staying silent, that really hit home for me. Because I too am a victim of sexual assault and physical abuse. And to this day, my abuser plays victim and says that I abused him. And, you know, as the psychotic ones do, they change the narrative. And I am here to share what really happened and just share my voice because I don't deserve to be shunned and silenced for telling what I endured.
All right, take your time. Yes.
It's called The Voice I Deserve. Yes, I am lost, but somehow I still feel something. Maybe you could call it faith. Call it what you want. There's somehow that still voice in me that hungers to be heard after the hell I've endured, and I believe it's always going to be there. I've been through my own personal hell, and I'm done being told to get over it. I can tell you it's hard to see a light at the end of the tunnel, some days. Some days I'm laughing, some days I'm the life of the party. But when I take a moment and I'm not busy, I still see your cruel words and hands around my throat, making it so I can't breathe, taking away the voice I thought I had, making me think I'm not the writer that I am. So one reason I'm here is to take back the voice you stole. I'm here because my love for words and self-expression and art. Before I knew you, I was a candle that could never be blown out, that never flickered. I was a light that could not be dimmed. Every storm that brewed, you made me think you could give me shelter, being my umbrella and my house and home. I turned to you through it all. But then you became the storm that I needed rescuing from. You were the one fabricating and crafting the storms for my pain and gaining your joy from seeing my suffering. The first time you bruised me, you told me it was police protocol to see if I was telling the truth about being raped by my other ex, the one who stole from me first, because you brainwashed me into believing you were a cop, my Superman, who would lock away my first enemy. And then you added on to that trauma, as brutal as sin, and I believed you. You made me think I could trust you, because anything you said felt like truth, since I was blindsided by my love for you. People think I simply just chose to believe you, but manipulation is a subconscious mind game the villain plays. It eats away at you slowly, like a disease killing you, little by little, and you don't even know you're sick until later when they abandon you in that parking lot and the entire puzzle comes to light from all the broken, scattered pieces of trauma that are brutal hell putting back together. You don't know which pieces go first or last or next, but you know they all will fit. And the symptoms were there all along, just a late diagnosis. And it's not my fault he fooled me. It's his fault for choosing to ruin me. Just because the bruises are gone doesn't mean the scar isn't present emotionally. You will always be marked on me for all eternity. I am here because I want to prove you wrong. I'm not your property. I have value. I have words that will be spoken, a story that yearns to be told. I am still broken. I'm still aching. I am still hungering for people to reach out and comfort me and tell me to not let it go. I yearn for their love and comfort, to be the hands that wrap around me in a warm embrace, the blanket that keeps me warm on a stormy night, because that's all I ever get are the let it goes. And half the time they don't even hear my whole story and immediately dive into the deep end of the pool of generalizations, lack of compassion, and ignorance. I have plans to grow and flourish like the flower I am without needing your approval, because you always made me feel like I need you in order to succeed. I've always had a passion for writing and for expressing myself on paper. There's something freeing about escaping my own life for just a minute so I can get onto paper what nobody will listen to when I speak. Somehow I'm heard when I write and sing, not when I speak. It only takes a select few to really hear my voice when I actually talk. So why do you all judge me for being introverted? It's my gift, not my curse. I'm the broken vase on the ground, yearning to be glued back together with love and tenderness. Because isn't that the ultimate glue? What do you do when you're drowning and screaming and reaching your hand above the water and they're standing right there and yet don't do a damn thing to save you? I don't know what's worse. Being brutally ignored like a child abandoned when they see you, or them just straight up not noticing. The voice I deserve is the soul you stole, bottled up in a jar, waiting to be released. The voice I deserve is the one thing I can get back, slowly, little by little. But in no way is it easy. And I'm still not okay. Because the flashbacks still trigger me and strike me, the lightning throwing me off course and zapping me for all eternity. It's been a while since I've spoken up without being judged or bruised, and I'm thankful for this environment. Having hands of unconditional love touch my soul and heart in the midst of my shattered glass heart will help me take those baby steps to heal. Because isn't that all we ever want? To be heard? So when they ask, "How are you?" I cringe, because only a few actually stick around to care. And I know you only resort to saying I'm slandering you when I actually write my truth, the truth you know happened, because you're a helpless, cowardly child who can't own up to his psychotic ways. So you resort to denial, the most potent illness of all. My story of my trauma won't swerve. My poetry and writing equals the voice I deserve.
Right on.
Thank you. Thank you
Right on. Thank you, Melody Joy. Yes,
so much.
you don't have to let it go. Just keep letting it out. Yes, indeed.
Thank you, sir. You have
Thank
no idea how much it means to be able to just be in an environment where I can start to take those baby steps to expose what happened. And I want to thank you for having this safe space for us. So thank you.
You're
It feel,
welcome.
he made me think I'm not a writer, and I just that. Sorry, I just one quick
No,
thing to
take
say
your
is that
time. Take your time.
it means so much because I know that before I met him, I've always been one. I've always had that passion. And when someone brainwashes you into thinking you're not the very thing you know you are, it's like subconsciously you still know you are that one thing, but it's still so hard to keep reminding yourself after such a horrendous act like that. And whoever's going through something like this, my heart goes out to you, and you're not alone, and you're beautiful, and nobody deserves to go through abuse. And I wish we did not live in a society where the victim gets blamed and the abuser gets to keep going.
Amen. Right on.
And I hope that we can change that. So thank you.
Let's give Melanie some more love. Yes. All right. So next, I'm going to ask John, are you ready? John Dorrance.
Let's unmute me, yeah. And let's see, I'll put the share. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
All right, let's see then.
I can see your screen.
All right, and let's see. Okay, I take it you can see the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Your fingers in my hair. Your crying that would not stop. You had no words. You were a baby. Precious, such a chubby face. Such insistent wailing. Your newborn's language. Mostly like colic, not loss. Your fingers in my hair. Precious, you slipped out screaming at the world. Often, I thought you would never stop wailing. You had no words, no words, no words. A young man now, your fingers through my hair. The only way you will touch me now, your fingers through my hair. Do you have any idea how I struggle to discover ways of saying it? For words? How does a dad say this to his adult son? How do I voice it? Reveal my heart to you. Show me, son, your fingers through my hair. Please show me. Son, I can't remember which of your ears has the tiny fold in it, right, left. You slipped out that way from mom and screaming. You won't let me hug you anymore. You won't let me hug you anymore. Not a man's way of doing things, you tell your dad. You say, as if you know what being a man is all about. Words, words, but you were never words. You are my son. Why did I help bring you into this world? If not to hold you close, if not to hug you, if not to help this dad see a good man's reflection in a mirror, hopefully the better, undamaged pieces of me. I know you are your own man. You are not a chip off the old block. Hey, there's words for you. A chip off the old block, a chip off the old block. You are certainly not words. Son, I feel your fingers through my thinning hair. What's left of it? Your hair so thick and young, an otter's pelt, head fur. I'm jealous. The haircut that you give me today, I don't care if you buzz me bald or shave me a reverse mohawk comb over. Your fingers in my hair, just touch me. Touch me. I still sense you. I feel relief for a second. Recall a smile, most likely grace. Precious, you were a baby. Now, in your touch, I can feel my own hands, my fingers through my hair, caring for your difficult dad through these times of the plague, these times of my anguish, of our elusive loss. Suffocated from COVID-19, Father is no more. Your granddad has died. George is gone. In your touch, Father, hold George close to you. Hug him.
Mm. Thank you, John. Give it up for John Dorrance. Father, son, grandfather. Truly a precious story. Yes, indeed. Well, next, I would like to introduce you guys to our featured artist. Anouk is a 17-year-old spoken word poet, journalist, organizer from San Jose, California. She is Santa Clara County's 2021 Inaugural Youth Poet Laureate and the 2020 National Student Poet Program semifinalist. A firm believer that the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. He is always actively looking for innovative ways to tackle current events in her poetry. Her poetry has been featured by Stanford University, Planned Parenthood, and the Kronos Quartet. Her journalism pieces have been published in Refinery 29, the Los Angeles Review of Books, and Education Post, amongst others. Please help me welcome Anouk to our screens.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for having me here today. And I'm super excited to be reading with you all. And before I start, I wanted to say happy Diwali. And also just thank you so much to all the poets who shared before me. Everyone who shared, I think your poems have like really, really touched me and actually like influenced me to kind of like change up my set. But yeah, another thing I wanted to say was this is actually like a really full circle performance for me, because I don't know if Mick Tate knows this, but the first time I ever like performed poetry out loud was at Cafe Frascati, which is now Nirvana Soul's open mic.
Okay.
And you were one of the first poets I think I watched go. And I just remember thinking you had performed the poem, I think that was about your name and explaining like why you like kind of like the history behind your name. And I just remember thinking like, that is so cool. Cause I think it was the first time I'd seen like anyone like perform poetry rather than just read poetry. So it's just super dope to be able to share this space with you and all these amazing poets. Yeah. So I just thought that was like a fun story. And it's just like so great to see everyone. Like, hi Flo, hi Diana. So great to see you all. Yeah, and I'm going to be reading two poems today, and I usually like to talk through my poetry. So this first one is called A Portrait of 1,000 Good Nights. And so I wrote this in June of this year, after Hong Kong's last democratic newspaper was shut down by the Chinese government. And I watched this video on Twitter. I'll drop it in the chat, I guess. But it was this like video of the entire staff of the newspaper basically waving goodbye to the city. And it was like 12 a.m. Everyone had their phone flashlights on, and it was like a really emotional moment because my family is like from Taiwan, and similar to Hong Kong, it's kind of in this like weird political space of like kind of being independent, but also kind of being like swallowed by the CCP. But this poem is called A Portrait of 1,000 Good Nights for the Apple Daily. If you squint hard enough, the flicker of all the Huawei phones look like baby lights from a sad Van Gogh painting. Tonight, it is June 23rd, and my Twitter feed is flooded with the tears and shallow inhales of a city extinguished of democracy. Tonight, I am sitting on the floor of my bathroom, stunned and dazed and confused and scared for our city I love like a mother. My dad tells me, it isn't that you're good at crying, it's just that you're good at being sad about things that no one has any business fixing. Apparently, Van Gogh once cut off his ear for a lover. Dad tells me that Hong Kong is no one's lover. Tells me that no one is willing to sever flesh or risk an appendage for a city with no mother. And I cry and I cry and I cry. And I think about Lester Shum and Willis Ho, student activists who started organizing protests the beginning of their sophomore year. And I think about my sophomore year in high school, how all I could think of was boys and homecoming and Taylor Swift, and how that could have been easily traded for tear gas and hunger strikes and fleeing the streets. And I think about Hong Kong, the way her mouth has been pried open by foreign men over and over and over. And I wonder if she is tired of watching her children burn. My dad tells me that we are lucky, the way Taiwan hugs the Pacific like a child would. Hong Kong shines like a daughter, her tears glittering across rooftops. And I think how lucky it is to be something worth saving, how lucky it is to be someone worth saving. On the night the final Apple Daily issue was released, the whole staff gathered on the 28th floor balcony, waving their phone flashlights, kissing the city goodbye, singing, I love you, I love you, I love you, good night. In another life, I will see you again. Yeah, so that was the poem. And so the next poem that I'm going to share, I actually wasn't planning on sharing this poem, but I think after Flo and Melody shared, I was like really inspired to pull this poem up. And just like some quick context for this poem, it's called An Ode to Teenage Girls. And so I go to Saratoga High School, and the one other high school in my district is Los Gatos High School. And so basically what's been happening at Los Gatos for the past 2 years is there's been this group of amazing teenage girls who've been leading basically their school in this kind of like reckoning against sexual harassment, because like the rape culture at Los Gatos is very prevalent, and a lot of students who have been like victims have said that they haven't felt adequately supported. And for my school newspaper, I've been following basically this group of activists. And basically this is a poem that I wrote in honor of them and just in honor of all survivors who are speaking out, and all survivors who are like, have been brave enough to share their stories, and also survivors who, you know, are still trying to find their voice. Yeah, but this is for all of you guys. Yeah, and it's called An Ode to Teenage Girls. I want to write an ode to all the teenage girls, an ode to all the awkward, cherry lip glossed halfway women who never fail to grace the hallways of high school at the ungodly hour of 7:30 a.m. each morning. An ode to teenage girls who sneak icebreakers into their mouths between sentences during Socratic seminars, girls who know that names aren't important when you're bleeding, girls who go around tucking sticks of tampons and spearmint gum into other girls' palms like pseudo-fairy godmothers. I want to write an ode because all the girls in my grade are scrappy, good at spitting puns out of thin air and mending torn dresses in crowded bathrooms with safety pins and adrenaline. I am writing an ode because all the girls in my grade are determined, because no teenage girl has ever backed down from an argument about feminism or human rights or Gossip Girl, because the girls in my grade don't take no for an answer. A talent we inherited from upperclassmen boys cloaked in Letterman jackets. My best friend once told me, it doesn't matter how you were taught a skill, as long as it is yours to use now. And 3 years later, she is now a 2-time debate state champion known for her persistence. My best friend wears no limits like a badge, refurbishes the bad memory until it is a first place trophy. And the girls in my grade are magic like that. All of us, expert linguists, too skilled at conjuring euphemisms out of thin air, too familiar with having to bend goodness out of every bad situation until the salted wound fades into nothing more than a forget-me-not. The girls in my grade are magic, but sometimes even magic falls short from grace. 2 years ago, a girl in the grade was assaulted by a varsity football player. That day, there was no magic in the hallways. Every girl in the grade cried for her a shaky elegy of locker side huddles and snapped hair ties. Every girl checking in on her best friend like a daughter, strangers sopping the collateral damage off of each other's faces, and all of us heaving our bodies into history class only to learn that the pain is nothing special, spiraling through textbook pages only to learn that people have been cracking our bodies open for pleasure for centuries, learning that for us, history has never stopped drumming up reasons to write eulogies and brandish pepper spray. And isn't that teenage girlhood? Knowing that at any time, anyone you loved could be swallowed by a boy who thinks he can pocket the sun, knowing that there are men out there who want to pop your vocal cords like violin strings, but still choosing to excavate a song from your lips. And what is more teenage girl than constantly mourning the way your body turned into someone else's gaudy souvenir, but still belting the lyrics every time Taylor Swift comes on the radio because that's your song, and at least no one can take that joy away from you. And isn't that why teenage girls are magic in the first place? We find joy in the smallest places and tuck the glowing thing into the pocket of our cheek, because our joy is our survival for times when they will call you weak, comical, uncanny. They will tell you to go back to popping bubble gum and flipping magazine covers, yell at you and say that your scream will always be more villainous than any boy's wild and thumping palms, and they will tell you that it is useless, that praying for any ending other than a burning one is futile, that wishing for a tomorrow where no one is being silenced or stomach toll is foolish, but we still do it anyways. Because right now, we are so young and the pain is so fresh that we dare believe that this type of hurt will not last forever. I'm writing an ode because we are young and naive, and choosing to be hopeful doesn't yet feel radical. A girl in my history class asks if the pain will last forever. Solemn and quiet, my history teacher is a woman in her late 30s. She doesn't wear lip gloss or chew spearmint gum, but I imagine that she too was once a teenage girl, wide-eyed and hopeful, sitting in the back of an 8-push classroom, dreaming of a place where no man can cast a large shadow, doing what teenage girls do best, praying for a soft rebirth. Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes. Ah, thank you, Anouk. Beautiful. You are doing exactly what you said you want to do. You are making revolution irresistible. Keep writing. I'm renewed. I'm
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know you write so beautifully. Your passion is so on point. Your pen is poignant. Yes. I don't need to tell you, but please keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing as well. Thank you. Yes. All right. Julian Stowe, are you ready? How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. I'm here with my new dog. Everything that everyone has shared today has been so wonderful.
Right.
My puppy, she's 3.5 months old. Yeah. So no, it's just stunning hearing what everyone is saying. The poem that I have today is a poem that I wrote over the summer, and it's about my mom. And it's based on episodes from her life that she's been revealing to me more and more as I get older. My mother looks at the sky. Because love is the white moon, he disappears every month, only to return and fire his weapon into that fateful sky, piercing new stars into heaven's heavy cloth. Because you pity him, this pomaded Olongapo police man, the tragic craters in his smile. Because something is happening to you, something new and unexpected, growing like the moon, still forming in your belly. Because you told me the moon has a face that never lies, because it says nothing, doesn't want anything. My mother, you look at the sky because in your dreams, you are the moon and you are not from this place, not dropping out of school, but falling up out of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian Ronald Stowe. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ooh, yes. Mothers, beautiful. They are. All right. I want to see Rosanna Alvarez. Are you here and available to share? Okay, I'm gonna come back. Chessa, are you with us? Okay. Next to the stage, our screens, I would like to welcome Will Madden. Will Madden, are you ready to share with us?
Yes, sir. Thank you, and Tate. Appreciate coming back to perform again here on first Thursdays. I've been coming and giving, performing poems for what? How long now, McTate? A minute.
Ooh, at least, I
So,
want to say at least 7, at least, if not more.
hey, okay, we'll just roll with that number, man. 7, 8, something like that.
Right.
I think
Didn't want to
tonight
age.
though,
Yes, go ahead.
of all the times, McTate, tonight was tonight was unique in that I think I was really moved and touched by all the poets, and for for a number of reasons, flow, melody. I'm a father and I have daughters, and I think that's that experience that you've gone through, and what you've dealt with, and the trauma, and those type of incidences haunt you for your life. They don't just go away with time. So I appreciate your bravery and courage to speak your experiences like that, and it really is inspirational to me that you have that type of courage to express yourself in that way. So thank you. Anouk, you're a star. It's just a matter of time. You're on the clock. So keep doing your thing. You're really incredible. And lastly, I wanted to thank John. That was an amazing poem about the progression your children go through, and the change in their development, and how you start to realize that how they once were is a different experience than what they are now, and it's it's a process for it all. And Tate, you're a father too, and I'm sure you can connect with that particular poem, but they're all incredible, and thank you. There is a poem that I wanted to share, and it's about my wife. And so I wanted to share this particular one about my wife, if you don't all mind. And it's called Harmony. That's all it is, just harmony. You don't need to say or do anything to make me feel more loved by you. You're this perfect ballad. The sound of your voice puts music in my soul. I'm incredibly grateful that I came in the cadence with you. You make me daydream about the ways I can make you happy. Like when the alto saxophone puts a soft tone in my mind, your music reverberates with me when I'm alone. And even then I contemplate how soon I'll be able to hold your hand, hold you in my arms, hold you like a melody with an infinite duet. I'm on this metatextual path across notes that give me hope. My whole life was a pause, strumming the strings of a concerto. And now your beauty is singing to me as if your song in life is that climatic chord that makes me distance the dissonance. Your song is definitive, and I value your dreams, beautifully orchestrated, and that resonates with me because the sound of your voice in any tone brings me peace. You're the piano, gracefully playing every key. When I'm with you, the world doesn't make a sound. And you're my symphony. Your intelligence, your humor, your support, your humanity. It's a lovely song in my life. It centers me. It's like a muted trumpet. I need time to appreciate the passion behind it. I realize what an incredible lady you are. When we're apart, every moment of my day is paused because you enter my mind, and I just wish I could hold your hand and talk to you. Sing a duet with you I'd offer you everything I have because whatever I own doesn't mean anything to me unless I can share it with you. I'd share every love ballad, slow dance with you to music in our room, in a ballroom, under the stars. There's no way to explain how much I've been humbled by you, but all I can do is show that I love you and I'll be there for you because you put harmony in my heart. Thank you.
Right on, Will. Right on, right on. Proud to be your best man at your wedding. Beautiful poem. Awesome pen. Much respect to you and your pen.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ah, with that being said, Ken Wisner. Yeah, I saw you click the mute. Can you unclick and share?
Well, it's my time, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, McTade, thanks for doing this for so many years. And, you're still at De Anza through the miracle of all this.
Yeah.
You're so important to me and to us. And I won't repeat all the stuff that should be said about Will and John, and especially Anouk. Anouk, that was very moving. So, and everybody who read. I'll read a couple of things I've been writing that two little sets of my poems where I talk to the owls. I know that's strange, isn't it? But this one's about the big fires and how the owls deal with the fires. They're these little prose poems, so I'll read a little set of three of them. And these are about the great horned owls who live around, the woods here. After a week, the smoke clears. 1,000 homes, Felicia's home and studio, burnt to the ground. One home torched in Boulder Creek, while 10 feet away, Charles and Katie's doesn't burn. I offer them our guest room. I can't change the world very much. The firefighters are winning today. I wish them good fortune, a trick of the wind, a meadow happy with owls. There's a shooting star. Crickets set the background beat. Fledges interject. Great horned elders hoot from the treetops. You'd think it was not burning insanely 10 miles away. Throughout the West, you'd think it was not burning like never before. How far might you fly in a dream? They call the whole forest home, the space they travel. Every so often, a firefighter finds a fledge and rescues him. Land hungers for fire, breathes to its own rhythm. For now, the one calls, the two answer. And in the rest of the poems, the you in the poem is the owls, because I went a little crazy and I started talking to them. Megafire, you are not used to being hunted. Embers the size of unfurled wings. This new sort of migration is not in your bones. Smoky half-night Santa Ana gusts. You'll end up behind a grocery sign in town or in a woman's garage behind the clothes dryer. Maybe on your own, toxic smoke, separated from your kin, where to find food. Nesting by the interstate in a frazzled pine. Scouring ditches along the frontage road, the tracks. I find that talking to the owls is about being human. This one's called Aftermath. There's no pyrodiversity to return to, no food source for your food source. No beetles in the ash, no beetle larvae, no understory, no mosaic, no patchwork with a few hideouts, no woodpeckers, all gray, no green. Maybe next year, wildflowers, a few hummingbirds. Then I'll just read a couple more of these short ones, if that's okay.
Yes, it is.
They're only that long. And they get mighty strange, but the you remains the you remains the owl throughout. Turning the bend. Before I moved to the woods, I was driving up the mountain to see a friend, winding up old San Jose Road. It's as if You had always been there perfectly still coming into the curve. I drove right through, but you made an impression as on gelatin silver onto my feelings, latent, permanent. It was the beginning of something. This one's Cowboy. You've been one acquainted with the night. A boy rescues you and names you Shane after the gunfighter. You have a mysterious past. At dawn, you drink whiskey. At dusk, the bitter coffee. You choose your words carefully. Your owlets only half will reach adulthood. It's a tough world, hombre. You're a loner who was once a provider. There's beauty in you like Bach in the organ loft at Leipzig. What you know is beyond words. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep. The boy loves you because you are fragile and you are Gary Cooper. I love you because you are Robert Frost. Last night I hear you. Last night, windows shut in a near sleep state, I hear you, two of you. Of course, it is so faint I could count slowly to 50 and still not swear it. I wake up before dawn and hear you again like that. I must consider, are these actually you or just my inner owls? You or just the memory of your music, the embrace of memory and imagination. I'm sometimes in dread of fate, the sharp little binary of truth. It cuts and cuts into nothing. And I'll read one last one. My mother would sing Que Sera, Sera. You would love Doris Day. Everyone does. No, you wouldn't. Is the future that hard to see? The falcon has a special tooth to finish off prey. You stab repeatedly, crush, suffocate, break necks for expediency. Does prey die before you swallow? You have no teeth. Form is our holy mother. She holds all equally and tenderly and says yes to all life. I want to talk to you about aging. There are days I feel half alive hanging from your mouth. When I had 100 stitches, I could not get over their intricate beauty. It takes millions of years to become something else, for the wings to become utterly silent. Yeah, so I have a little book of owl poems, and that's what I wanted to share tonight. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. What a way to just wrap up a beautiful poetic evening. Thank you all for sharing tonight. Melanie Joy, Julian, Joati, Flo, John Dorrance, Anouk, Will, Ken, thank you guys all for sharing. It's beautiful to share in this space. I love that we could invite people even outside of our community. I want to thank my mother for coming in and being the wonderful support. That's what made Julian's poem so touching. And yes, so hey, please feel free to unmute yourself and share in the fact that we are all here, because I do dread pressing this red button to leave right away, but I just want to embrace us all while we're here. So please feel free to unmute yourself, say hello, commune for a moment before Deanna cuts us all off.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for such a safe forum for people to share very deeply. It's very much appreciated.
Yes.
Thank you for letting me join in and hear what's going on. And I'm so glad that people can share and know that they're safe. So thanks again. Thank you, Mectate.
You're welcome, Mama.
I just wanted to say